All right, hello everybody. Armchair updates. I have the owner of the ABL Padres, my father, Padres Greg. For the first time, you get to see his face. You heard the voice. You get to see the face. Dad, we finally got you on. It took the entire season to finally get you set up on StreamYard, but thank you for taking some Wednesday night. We are going to talk. We're just going to get your general thoughts, I guess, on year one and talk a little bit about where maybe you plan on taking the Padres. So thank you. And hello. Say hello. Stop looking at mom. Say hello.
Yeah, she was telling me to say thank you or something. But yeah, thanks. Just happy to be here.
Most talk show guests, you don't see them blatantly looking at the cue cards in the background. But
Line.
Yeah. What is he talking to me? Yeah. It's just casual, friendly conversation. It's just me and you. That's all. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. There's nobody. Yeah. There's nothing going on.
Right.
So you're coming back, right? You're coming back for year two. You're already paid for year two, but you're going to come back for year three, right? Like you're not because you're one of the teams that needs to pay your dues for the next year.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but you plan on, yeah, when we paid last year, we had to pay for this year and next year. So
Yes.
You're already paid for 22, but you need to pay for 23.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And you plan on doing so. You're sticking around. You like the ABL.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
First
year.
30 team league. Yeah. First 30 team league for you, but first 30 team league for me. Did you find the 30 team aspect? Did you find it more challenging to navigate in season, or was it more challenging from the initial auction, there being 30 teams, do you think?
Boy, that's a good question. Probably in season a little bit, but that's what we were looking for, a league where you don't have an all-star lineup on every team. It's hard to get guys. It's hard to find.
Yeah, not a deep waiver pool. Yeah, very shallow.
Yes.
Incredibly shallow waiver pool. And yeah, a bunch of pretty sharp owners. Yeah, it's kind of something that I stumbled into, and then I think I got at you maybe a day or two after I found it and said, hey, I think this is going to be the kind of league. You know, we've ran the garage league since, you know, if you want to take it all the way back to living on Cook Street, like when I was, you know, 11 or 12 or 13 or whatever years old, you could call it that. But even just going back to, you know, I was in high school and stuff when we were doing the garage league, and we always wanted to try to make it evolve. We tried different things.
Mm-hmm. Keepers.
Scoring. Yeah, keepers. We tried trading draft picks for a year. Anything we could think of to keep guys interested and maybe keep the discussion going on past just the end of fantasy season, which for us was the last day of the regular season. And then, yeah, found this, and it's like, this is what we've been looking for a long time. It's a little bit more expensive than what we usually play, but I think that it's going to be worth it. And you ended up doing quite well. I kind of thought that maybe the auction aspect would have been tougher for you, maybe having so many guys available or eligible or whatever you want to say, like being auctioned all at once, having all those guys up on the board at once. I wasn't sure how really you would react to that, because we've done auctions before. Obviously, we've done a ton of auctions, but
it was really different.
Did you like that? Did you like having the multiple guys and the slow auction aspect? That's your first slow auction ever. Did you like that?
I did like it, and when you first started explaining it to me, well, when I had just heard about it before from you, I thought it was really strange. I wasn't really getting it, but it was easy to pick up on, and Yeah, I really did like doing it that way. I thought it was really cool.
Do you anticipate this second auction? Do you think the first one, did you like learn anything from the first one that's going to make you better at the second one? Do you think you're just going to be more prepared overall? Or do you already have your strategy for the next one and that's what it's going to be regardless?
Yeah, more prepared overall. A couple little things learned from the first one, and yeah, the strategy going into the next one. I got to fill some needs, if you can call that
Well, first,
strategy.
first, let me ask you, what do you plan to do? Do you know what you plan to do? I know you put Darvish on the block the other day. Do you want to say how much action you got out of it? Did you get any action out of that? Do you want to say if you got action out of that?
I got none, and so I should get another plug-in for him here. Now he's 41 and his salary is 34. No, wait, the other way around.
No.
Reverse.
Yeah.
Check. Reverse it. He is a former Cy Young Award winner,
Candidate.
right? Candidate, and could be again. Interesting side note about Cy Young. While we're on the subject,
Baseball history.
this has always fascinated me. As great as he was, never once won the Cy Young Award. That's a real head scratcher for me. I don't understand.
I wish I had the button I could hit that would just make the colored bars come up on your side, like the colored bars and the long beep, technical difficulties. That's how I just
Sound
cut
like
you
crickets,
off.
maybe.
Right there. Beep.
Yeah. This is a good thing this isn't live because we'd probably be seeing some comments right now, like maybe who let this guy into the league, or is this guy might be an idiot.
You vouched for this guy. What the hell? You've now lost credibility yourself. Yeah, this is
You
what I
guys
was
are both
afraid of.
out.
This is
You
why
guys
I
are
had
out.
to wait the whole year. I had to wait until after a whole year went by and everybody was cool with you to make sure that you couldn't do any damage to my reputation.
And now you see why. And now you see.
Yeah, I see why. Because look at those fucking glasses. So to anybody that didn't catch this, I asked him before. Those are Kansas City Chiefs. They're white in the front, and the
Yeah.
whatever you call them, the sides are red. Yeah, they're not like weird Elton John, like white rhinestone glasses or anything. Yeah, it's Kansas City Chiefs.
There's the arrowhead.
And he does not wear glasses on his typical day, but he's looking at the
They're
computer
readers.
and stuff.
Yeah,
They're readers. Yeah. So, but God, yeah, just don't get the wrong impression. He doesn't go around wearing those all the time. Yeah. So yeah, back to Darvish and K. So you're shopping Darvish. You've gotten no action.
No, I haven't, and I'm not surprised. The price is pretty high for where he seems to be right now. But having seen the pod with Duke and Jeff, that was some interesting stuff there. So I've been waffling.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna get into it later, maybe the decisions on those guys, but I've been waffling on them, back and forth.
If you continue to get no action on you don't have to say, but do you think you plan on giving him 1 year, or are you going to cut bait on him and maybe hope to get him back cheaper, or maybe say, it's been real, but time to part ways?
Probably the latter there. I probably would maybe try to get him cheaper. That would be a possibility, and that's probably the route I'll have to go.
I'm kind of wishing that I didn't cut Strasburg. Part of me, after seeing that pitching stuff, I'm kind of wondering if I will be able to get him cheaper than the $33 he would have been with inflation.
I was thinking the same thing about Alex Wood for me. I mean, maybe a 1 year for 34 for him wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah, geez. Yeah, I remember I asked, I said, I think it was the Jeff and Duke, do you think Wood will go for higher in the second auction. If he reaches it, then he went for in Fabapalooza the first time around. Yeah, geez, I guess you could cut you and keep Wood and have maybe a little more certainty. Yeah, Wood's not exactly a picture of health.
I already dropped him too, though.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Okay. I didn't even realize.
That's right. Yeah.
So you're not keeping him. Yeah. So you're not keeping him and giving him 1 year.
Right.
What about Captain Jack?
I think I will keep Captain Jack, probably a 1 year. It seems like I should probably try to keep a guy who might be an ace. It's iffy, though. I mean, like it is for everybody with more pitchers. Yeah, and it's a good chunk of money. Yeah.
But you also you're probably, I don't want you to give away too much of your, of your strategy or whatever, but like
nobody's watching anyway.
Yeah, Adam's a big Captain Jack fan. He's Adam is watching. He's a big Captain Jack fan. Yeah, he's so young, he's good. But it's not, you can't give him 3 or 4 years at that price,
No.
Yeah, you can't. I mean you can, but
I'm not going to.
You probably don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to. But you do kind of like, so it's kind of like in drafts that we've done a lot together and stuff. We've ran a lot of teams together, and you and I have been in a lot of leagues together. And I think you kind of know by now, almost with football, if I take a running back in the first, I really like to get a running back in the second. I like to go boom, boom. With baseball, I kind of like to go, if I'm going high-end pitching, if I'm going to have one high-end pitcher, I like to have at least another one. I like to go pitcher. If I'm at the back end of the first round or whatever, go DeGrom and Cole or whatever it was, try to go 2 pitchers. So does what you think you're going to do with Captain Jack, does that affect what you want to try to do with a guy like Darvish? Does that factor into it at all? Or is like the Darvish decision completely independent of what the rest of your pitching looks like?
Well, in the beginning, it was sort of the pocket aces thing. Yeah, and without him, I'd probably want to get somebody comparable in the upcoming.
I'm going to bring up the Padres real quick since we're sitting here talking. I mean, you've got Manaea. I know that.
Yeah, who did just about what Darvish did for a lot less salary.
Significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, if Dodger Joe was sitting here right now, he would probably say, "You're crazy to sign. You'd be crazy to sign Darvish. He's so expensive." But I think the dearth of pitching that is probably going to be available in the auction, it is scary.
I really wonder what they're going to go for. What are those top guys that are going to be available? How high will they go? Because there's teams that have a lot more money to spend than I do.
I was just one of those teams that really had a lot of trouble most of the year getting to those 7 starts. I think I only did it one time. Yeah. I think I only ever got the 7 starts once. And Sam posted the math. He was saying, look how many starts there were in the majors, and look how many starts we could have if everybody had 7. Everybody can't have 7. There's not enough. So to be one of those teams that is able to consistently get 7 a week, that's a pretty big deal. And it was a huge deal. I mean, for a while, Tony was giving me the numbers of these were the records of the teams that got the full 7 starts this week. And it was always, pretty damn obvious, if it wasn't already in a points league, that you wanted to get those 7 starts.
That was interesting stuff. And thanks to everybody who does all this cool stuff to look at, the power rankings, all this stuff.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, very good stuff. Very good stuff in the off season so far. Guys sharing very useful information that they don't necessarily have to share. This could be one of those leagues where these guys are sitting there doing that and then keeping it all to themselves. You remember me in the past bitching about, James Asbell, the night before a draft, he cops my magazine and he looks at my notes, and then the next day he's taking my fucking sleepers.
Yeah.
It's guys that I know he hasn't heard of. I know he hasn't heard of these guys. And then he's taking them about, 7-8 rounds ahead of what I wanted to. I'm saying, you son of a bitch. I know you saw that in my magazine. No, these guys are sharing information. They're crunching numbers, and then they're sharing the data. It's part of what has made this league super, super cool and fun to be a part of. Now on so here's some Padres here. This is what it looks like. Have you pretty much you've made some of your cuts? Have you made most of them?
I would say I have made most of them. There may still be a couple, 3 to come, depending on this and that.
So you're looking at Captain Jack, Charlie Morton, and Mania and Pavetta really anchoring that staff, which is a really nice. Pavetta at $2, he's going to be $4, but that's a hell of a deal for a guy that didn't, blow the doors off of the joint or anything, but you see he averaged 12 and a little bit points per game for $2.
He's pretty useful to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that and Mania is a really nice under $10 total value there. See, Charlie Morton hit 97 the other night.
Really?
Yeah, he hit 97, so he's still got gas in the tank.
Yeah, he does.
He said that he was like trying to blow it out and throw it as hard as he could. So that's about his max. But I don't know that if I would have expected to see 97. He threw a harder pitch in that game than Walker Buehler did, or something like that. I don't think Buehler touched 97. Yeah, ageless Charlie Morton, 16.5 points a game at $18. And then when you look at you at 41 and averaging 14, 14 and 14.76 is really nice. I think that probably would have been the best on my team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's better than Barrios. I'm not 100% sure, but it's got to be right there with him. And then, when Jack played, 14.19, Mania 14.5. You have a great base of pitching there, assuming they all come back and do. I think Jack can be better, but there's also been some numbers suggesting that maybe he could be worse. And he hasn't been incredibly healthy. What do you think about your bats? What do you intend to try to do? Do you have a plan in the auction? Or do you have a primary target in the auction yet?
I don't have it narrowed down specifically to specific guys yet.
Are you going to go after Tatis?
No.
Nod the head, but no.
No. I'm not. Honestly, I'm not going after that guy. It'll just be too much for me. I'm not a guy who is I don't go to that extreme of the studs and duds. I don't want to have too much tied up in one guy. I'd rather have 3 $30 guys than one $90 guy. I've always kind of leaned that way. So no Tatis.
Are you keeping Donaldson at $17?
Yeah, I am. I believe I am. I'm gonna keep Nelly. I actually had an offer for Nelly the other day.
All right.
But no, I'm planning on keeping old Nelly.
Really? $20.
Yeah, I think he's got another good year.
You can't deny the bat, and he, 3.5 points again. That would have been the best in my lineup. 3.46 would have, I think, been quite a bit the best in my lineup. And he's cheaper than the guys I have that could have done that. The Joey Gallo, Carlson.
I think he's worth it.
Well, all right. In that vein, think he's worth it. What are you going to do with Will Smith?
Boy, he's one. I still have not made a final decision on that. I think I'm waiting to see what catchers are going to be out there as long as I can to make that decision.
That's a lot of money, $29, big chunk of money, but
Yeah, but
it's really nice to have that catcher that averages 3.3 points a game, and that you don't have to worry. I had Martin Maldonado and Zach Collins. Maldonado averaged, I think, 1.74, and Collins, I'm pretty sure, was under 2 himself. And if you were to compare our rosters and say, well, what did I do? Those guys cost me a combined $3. So what did I do with that extra $24, compared to Will Smith? Not enough. You did better in the division than I did. You went further in the playoffs than I did. So, I mean, was Will Smith there $23 better than my 2 catchers? I think so. Because there were times that Collins was hurt and I only had Maldonado, and then plenty of days that I was going with no catcher. So I wasn't even getting the 1.74 or whatever the hell it was. It would have been nice to have a guy averaging 3.25 or more and not be able to worry about him. But I never go after catcher. You know me. I'm not that year that you and I did that roto and we took Gary Sanchez in like the 3rd round, and that was the year that he got hurt and sucked.
Yeah, he tanked.
That kind of turned me off of going early catcher, because we tried that in the 2 catcher league and it bit us right in the ass, and it just turned me off.
I've done it before, though. I've tried to go strong at catcher. I've kind of been try to win the battle at every position guy kind of thing, which is hard to do, of course. But
you were the Mike Piazza guy for the longest time. You were always the Mike Piazza guy. Yeah, Mike Piazza and Jeff Kent. You were the mustache guy.
And for catchers, I always loved guys who didn't actually catch. The Mike Stanleys, the Mickey Tettletons, guys who are qualify at catcher, but who never actually put on the gear. I love those guys.
Yeah, we had to deviate a bit and go back to the garage league, which we called because we did our live draft in the garage most years. Like maybe a couple times we did it in the house, but then it just kind of blew up, and there's so much food and stuff to be had. We needed the table for that, so we had to do it in the garage. But damn it, I don't even remember why I was started talking about the garage league.
Oh, catchers who don't catch.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we the position eligibility. We didn't look necessarily at X amount of games played the year before. We just kind of, what are they likely to play this year, or what are they supposed to play this year, is usually what we did for guys. And then some guys like Edgar Martinez, they were just grandfathered into third base because that was the last thing he played, and now he's a DH all the time or whatever. Ortiz was a first baseman.
Yeah, we didn't use a utility or a DH spot.
No, we didn't. Yeah, we didn't have a U spot. We just, we were playing best ball style, but with our kind of our own set of funky rules that you really can't duplicate on any of these online platforms. Like some of the stuff you just can't do, which I wish we could replicate it completely, but I'm glad that it's a little more streamlined and stuff now. I mean, we like literally, if you guys, the younger guys like Josh and them that don't know, really what phones and stuff are other than cell phones, we used to have to, the rest of the league would have to call our house, would have to call my dad, the commissioner, to put in what were essentially, free agent pickup bids. For a while, we just did first come, first serve. And it would be, somebody throws a no-hitter and all of a sudden the phone's ringing every 30 seconds from guy. Nope, sorry. So-and-so called already. He's got him.
Yeah. So, Kenny Rogers has been taken.
Yeah, it sucks, but and then we kind of advanced a little bit to, that's not really fair. We need to give like a 24-hour grace period to where X amount of guys can call and go in, and then we'll draw it out of a hat or whatever. We never really had it.
We did it that way at the beginning.
Yeah, it was, and of course the thing that got me was like, I'm always home. I'm always there when you walk in the door from work or whatever. But like, I have first shot at everybody. There's no cell phones or anything. I get whoever the hell I want because I just tell you as soon as you get home. I remember specifically it was early one year and Detroit Tiger Brian Moeller threw an early shutout. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to hurry up and pick him up. And then when we do the points the first time, I'll be in first place. And he's already thrown a shutout. So he's got to keep being great the rest of the year. As soon as you walked in the door, I said, Brian Mueller.
Yeah.
And that did not work out. I did not end up even using him.
No, he was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. But early on when he had that shutout, he was looking good.
Oh yeah.
But what
of
a
course.
terrible way to do things. Yeah. What a terrible way to do things.
Yeah. That was very
almost
crude.
ashamed to admit that that's the way, but I was just going to say it was fair to everybody. No, it wasn't. I mean, we all had to do it that way, but I had way more access to you. And maybe Ryan, those guys that were closer to us than some of those outside guys that didn't call as much or, whatever. But yeah, was not fair to everybody and was not really a fair way to do it. Didn't win me any leagues or anything. Nobody won a league or anything
nobody
like that off of a crazy pickup. But yeah, just when there was everybody wasn't on the internet. Everybody didn't have email. You had to kind of make personal connections with the guys if you wanted to, call them and trade. Oftentimes Ryan probably didn't feel super comfortable calling Johnny Betson and
right.
saying, I don't want to sit and talk to Johnny on the phone. He never wants to talk about baseball,
Yeah.
So I don't like calling him and talk and trade with him because it always turns into whatever else. So it was kind of weird back then. Now it's just, you can send blind offers and they either sit in an inbox for days and the guy never says anything, or maybe the guy declines it within 2 seconds.
Sorry, Adam. I just didn't realize it was possible. It was the thing.
You called me and said, how could this guy have declined my trade so fast? How could he do it? I had just clicked the button and he already said no. It was like he couldn't have known I was going to offer him a trade. Is that all he does, is sit there and look for me to offer him trades that he can say no to? So Dad, Adam's like us, man. He likes this league. He's sitting there looking at it all the time, just like we are.
I totally get it now. I get it. It's all good.
He's declining these trades out of spite. He just hates the Padres. He couldn't even looked at it.
Right.
He just doesn't like me. No, he doesn't like anything. He doesn't. But you see, he does make deals. He does.
Oh yeah, deals. He made a really really interesting one here lately.
He's made a couple. He was the one that made the deal with the Blue Jays to send Plesac to the Jays, and then the Jays dropped Plesac, which I still I find befuddling, I guess, a bit.
Yeah.
But not a move I would have made. But I don't know how I feel about Plesac. He'd be $31. That's I probably would not want him on my team for that price.
Yeah.
But again, when it comes down to it, pitching is incredibly scarce. And I do intend to have Blue Jay Gary on here, and maybe he can, if he wants to divulge what he was thinking. I hate to sound jerky, like what were you thinking, Gary? But like what he was thinking, his thought process behind
a little light on
some of the deals he's made, coming in and taking over a team that, to be honest, I thought the Jays were set up a little bit better than they were. Mark went pretty deep in the playoffs and stuff. I kind of thought the Jays were sitting a little stronger than it looked after Gary took them over. And I am pretty sure that it is Gary's first 30-teamer as well. And one of the comments he had made to me, which I kind of found funny, and Gary, if you watch it, I hope I don't think I'm disclosing anything too crazy, but he's like, he was a little bit confused. He's like, guys seem so enamored with like money and contracts, and they love these cheap guys. He's like, they love bums that are only like $1. But it's like, man, you'll find out quickly, Gary, in this league, dollar bums, there's no such thing as a bum. At bats are at bats in a 30-team league, and this is end
up being useful.
Yeah. These guys that you might think are bums or that you might think don't have a whole lot of value. Look at, just for example, he wasn't only $1, I don't think, but Avisail Garcia. Look how valuable of a piece he was
$5
for the Pirates, for the Pirates for most of the year. But guys like that you don't necessarily think that the cheapness of those guys enhances the value so much when you see kind of how the league played out. Look at $8 Robbie Ray, look at $7 Sean Manaea, $2 Nick Pivetta. Like those are the guys you need to hit on really to not only go to the playoffs, but to like win the league. That was Duke's whole team, was hitting on these spectacular values, and it took him to the title.
He mentioned that Avisale might have been his MVP.
Yeah, entirely possible. And now he wants to trade him.
He got him from me.
Yeah, he got him from you. That was one of two trades of yours that I want to bring up that were less than stellar for you. Yeah, well, that Tyler Chatwood, I remember. I remember calling you and said, "What the hell are you doing?" I like Tyler Chatwood. I think he's gonna start. I think he's gonna be good. Whew.
Well, I thought he had turned it around. I thought, he had 26 innings, really strong innings, was getting holds. I thought he had the walks were way down. I thought he had fixed whatever was wrong and turned it around. And
small sample size.
That's a pretty small sample size. And right after I got him,
right after
immediately crashed and burned severely. It was bad, really bad. Yeah, a first round pick for that, and a prospect. I throw him a prospect too.
Oh, buddy, is that anything that concerns you? Like when you look at your team, you're pretty light on high-end prospects.
Yeah.
Or really even if we're being totally honest, really even like medium-end prospects. Your minor league system is pretty bad. If we're being completely honest.
It's at or near the bottom of the rankings for sure.
Yeah.
And that was by design.
Yeah. You had kind of said going in that you were not going to be one of the guys that was spending big money on prospects.
Right.
And there were plenty of good ones that went for $1, but you just kind of, weren't into the prospect side of it as much. Has that kind of changed? Has that thinking changed heading into year 2? Are you only have a few picks coming up in the draft. Are you going to try to get any more? And 2, are you going to focus a little bit more on the prospect side of things when the first year player draft comes up? Because remember, this first one, you were trading picks. When our first minors draft, you were trading picks for budget money and stuff.
I did.
You really didn't care all that much about prospects. Has your thinking changed very much on that?
Well, to some degree. And there's things I see going on now. Some of these, what guys are looking for in trades and the trades that have been made. And I think, I wish I had some prospects to deal. And I don't. And, so it has an effect. But like I said, it was kind of by design. I'll have to find other ways to try to build a farm system, minor league free agents, what have you. Maybe trading for picks. That's possible, but prospects seem to be high on the list of things that get dealt for, and I don't have them, so it might be hard to do. Do I wish I would have gave it a little more focus? I think so.
I mean, your strategy did work. I mean, you drafted a team to win now, and you made a somewhat deep playoff run. I mean,
made a run at it. Yeah,
the strategy worked. But the matchup between you and Jeff, you guys were butting heads like just at the, or not the matchup between you and Jeff, but you and Jeff going into the playoffs, like both just really hobbling into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. Like you had a playoff team, but your depth was a little lacking. Like once guys started going down,
yes,
if if KB was going to miss significant time or whatever, the depth, not that I can talk or anything, but
well, that's how this league is. Who can?
yeah,
There's not many teams that can have a
maybe the
tremendous.
Dodgers, Dodgers, Tigers, Pirate, the guys that
Right.
made the other deep playoff runs. I think that's going to be one of my primary focuses. How much money do you think you want to have? Do you have a number in mind, like going into the auction, how much money you want to have?
It's pretty well set, except for the decision on you.
Right.
So yeah,
What the hell are you at here?
He's a pretty good chunk.
So pre-inflation, though, you're already at 242 pre-inflation.
Uh-huh.
I mean, so that's gonna jump up considerably after inflation.
40. Yeah, about 40.
Yeah.
I would say somewhere around there.
Yeah, so that would put you over the cap already. So if you want to have any money in the auction, you need to make some decisions.
Right. Yeah, you's got to go. Will Smith, again, back to him. I really do wonder if he will be able to be had for cheaper than he is now. I really wonder.
If everybody's going so crazy over pitching, can they afford to spend $30 on Will Smith?
I don't know. I remember when I got him in the initial auction, there were guys bidding him up to what he ended up at.
I was one of the ones that said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you spent $27 on Will Smith."
Right.
But I mean, he paid off. I just, man, where's all your, I mean, $81 between Captain Jack and you, and that's a huge part of your salary. I'm kind of surprised that you're sitting at 242 though. It seems higher than I thought it would be. $30 KB, $30 Goldie, $27 Will Smith. Yeah, you got a lot of money tied up in some higher end guys. But if you want to have anything to play with in that auction, yeah, you're going to have to make some cuts.
I suppose so.
Yeah. I mean, just me, for example, I think I'm down to, I'm down to 142.
Yeah.
I'm $100 less than you are. And I've made all my cuts.
Yeah. Well, and with inflation.
Yeah, inflation will take me up a little bit, but I'm not super worried. I think I'm going to be comfortable with the money I have. Yeah, I think I'm just wondering how much you think you want to have.
More than I have at the current time.
Is he barfing? He's like, he might be. Dog's barfing. All right. Don't. Oh my God, he is. He's gonna barf. She's doing it on the hardwood. Good dog. Oh my God, you poor dog. And he's barfing.
Well, poor.
Oh, he just looks back, all sad. Poor guy. Okay, what else? What else do we want to touch on? Oh, you want to one of those other? Yeah, what do you got? What do you got before I move on to those trades? Yeah, we did the Captain Jack and you. We did your potential next auction strategy, which is hoping to have more money than you have now. Because if you were going into the auction right now, you'd only have $18 to spend. And you've got more holes probably to fill than $18 can fill right now. So, absolutely. And that's without inflation. So yeah, you wouldn't even have that actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get out the old adding machine and see what I can do there.
How about this? Have you done your contracts yet? Do you know who's getting what roughly?
A rough, not for everybody, but some guys I've got it pretty well narrowed down.
You giving anybody a max?
Probably not too many, but some are possible. Probably not in the pitching area. Maybe somebody like a Pavetta.
At $2? Yeah.
Yeah, at $2, maybe.
But to me, it's like,
You don't know what he's going to end up
yeah,
really. He's not a sure thing.
does it, it's something I've been wrestling with. Like, does it make it more attractive if you were, say, going to go to trade him, that they would be on a shorter contract than a longer?
Yeah, it seems like it could go either way depending on the
Yeah.
situation.
I don't, even my $1 guys, I don't know that I'm going to hand out any max contracts. I don't know that I will. I don't foresee myself doing so, because it's like, well, max is 5. Why not just give them 4 and see what happens? It's like maxing them doesn't really give any kind of advantage. Maybe if you got a discount or something, if you sign a guy to a max contract, you get a dollar off or something,
Right.
knock a year of inflation off or something. I mean, that'd be ridiculous, but yeah, I just don't see myself maxing anybody.
It seems like you'd have to get a little bit lucky for a max contract to work out all the
Yeah,
way
to really
through.
work out the way you hope, like if you had Tatis for $1
Yeah,
at, when he was younger, okay, yeah, you max him, and it looks like that would probably pay off, just for but those guys are pretty few and far between. What else?
this
Did I
kind
tell
of
you?
this kind of almost leads into the trade thing. We talked about the year one experience and all the stuff I like, which is everything really. I mean, it's
Anything you
really,
don't like?
there is one thing that I will kind of go ahead and put it in the kind of don't like category. It's not really a gripe, or even I don't know, a pet peeve, somewhere between a peeve and a gripe. Uh, it's not enough of a thing that I would even suggest anything be done or initiate anything. But for me personally, the use of trades as a waiver wire, it's a little off-putting for me. This seems to be a league where you're kind of striving for realism, and that it kind of takes away from the realism.
I think we'll see that probably change a bit in year 2 as guys are signed to contracts.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah,
And
for
then,
sure.
like I say, this is a very minor thing and I don't want to knock these guys that love to trade. I mean, on the other hand, I will keep in mind this is fantasy baseball, but for this league, but again, it's a real minor gripe.
Now, so what, like, is it the amount of trades,
Yeah, just the
or
volume. Yeah,
yeah,
the
just the,
volume.
because just somebody like you that, yeah, you get on the league, probably every day. It's daily lineup changes. You're on there every day,
Yeah.
but you don't necessarily spend an hour a day on the Discord or anything,
No, I
so.
check in on it for any messages sent.
But
And
yeah,
I'll
I can see,
occasionally,
you get on from one day to the next, and like half a dozen guys have changed teams, all of a sudden, because
no.
there's been 2 or 3 trades made overnight, and I do get it. I was kind of the same way. Like, man, how many, Tony's turned over, and I'll still rip on Tony about it. He turns over his
Yeah, I don't
roster
want to
every
sound
fucking
like
week.
I'm ripping on Tony. He seems like a great
Yeah.
guy. I don't want
Believe me, he doesn't care. Yeah, he.
to. He knows,
But
right?
I do think that we'll have to see it. It'll be forced to scale back, I think, because of
Right.
the contract aspect. You won't have guys as willing to take on these players if they're attached to 2 or 3 or 4 years or whatever it was, like we had in year 1. Still see a lot of trades, still 30 teams, still
Right.
a lot of guys that like to trade. But yeah, I think year 1 was kind of an anomaly when it
I think
comes to
you're right.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, I mean, there's nothing wrong with voicing an opinion about that either,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're not the only one that would be a little turned off by 300 plus trades
Well,
in
yeah, and it
a
just got to
league.
where, there's so many every day. They're just kind of even hard to keep up with a little bit.
I kind of looked at it this way. It's like, real teams have, 10 different minor league teams that they're always shuffling guys between, and we don't see that. We don't look at all those transactions every day. We don't have the luxury of AA, AAA, 3 different developmental leagues. So this was how some guys were moving guys up and down, or like you said, using it as a waiver wire. And Tony admitted as much. Like,
Hey, I like the idea of just, he's doing everything he can to win. I like that.
he made the playoffs.
Yes, he did.
He made the playoffs.
Yeah, hats off to him.
So Adam said pitchers will get 1-year contracts. Next auction, they will all be available in the auction. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's about right? Like, a lot of these pitchers are going to be on, like, these high-end pitchers especially are going to keep going on 1-year deals.
I bet they will. I bet guys would be hesitant. Yeah, I think they'll be hesitant to give them long-term deals, and seemingly rightfully so. The way that we saw it this year, they're just always dropping like flies.
If you were me and you had $29 Barrios, how many years would you give him?
Oh boy. Hey, I think you could make a case for giving him more than one.
Yeah, I think you could, easy.
But I'd probably go towards the middle, I suppose. It'd also be kind of a little risky to give him the max.
I think I might go 1 to. I don't know if that makes him a more appealing trade target or not. Like, when I think about, like, I'm trying to think ahead, like, if I have to move Barrios in the middle of the year or whatever, does it make it more attractive to a trade partner that he's on an expiring deal?
I don't know.
That they're not going to be anchored to him, or he's not going to be anchored to them? Or would it make it more attractive if he was on a 2-year and say, hey, you get him this year and you get him next year, but next year he's going to be 33?
And a lot depends on how he's doing at the time, I suppose.
Yeah. I don't know what to do.
Very tough.
I mean, I'm keeping him. Obviously, I made my cuts a little early. I shouldn't have made my cuts as early as I did, but the guys I have on my roster, I am keeping around. I just don't have all the contracts hammered out, but I wonder, it's probably 1 or 2, probably no more than that for Barrios. More teams would be attracted to an expiring contract, Adam says. That was kind of my thought, was that, like, look, man, you trade for him this year and there's no obligation. It's
then you can make your own decision on him, right?
Yeah, you can try to get him back in the auction. Either way, the money's going to be freed up for you. No guarantees, but no hassle, no contracts, no nothing. It's like buying a really nice used car. It's like, you always think this can't be as good of a deal as it seems like, but maybe with a guy like Barrios, it will be.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think I have. Hey, you ready to look at some trades, or you got anything else?
No, yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's look at some trades. We're going to look at trades that have happened this offseason so far. It looks like it started with the Harper deal on October 4th, and that was the Mariners. Can you see that? Can you see? Is that, like, super small for you?
It's pretty small.
Yeah, I imagine so. I don't think I can make it.
No, that's okay. I can make it out.
Okay. Teams contending will want him. They don't care about the next year. I don't disagree. Flags fly forever. Give me the win now. And like we said, you could, if you want him next year, you try to get him back on the auction.
Right.
If you were willing to maybe pay 33 for him, if he was on a contract, you go $1 or $2 more, and you pay 35 if you wanted him that bad. Yeah, I think
every dollar is going to count going forward, it seems like.
Yeah,
too.
It really, and we're not going to have the same kind of Fabapalooza as we had, probably, like, some of these guys that got Fabapalooza'd might end up staying on teams for, $3 the next year or whatever it is. Like, I don't think it'll be as wild. I don't know what to expect from first-year player draft. I've started doing a lot of my research for that. If you gave me 1-1 right now, I don't know who I would pick. I think I've said
Yeah,
that,
me
but I think I
neither.
said that on the last pod. Yeah, I don't know who it would be. So I'm
I'd
kind
have
of,
to
in a way,
I'd
I'm
have to bone
glad
out.
I don't have to make that decision. You're not in the first round at all.
No, I'm not.
You do have the Toronto 2, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So you will get into the second round, and who knows?
If I
Maybe you
still
make a
have it
deal or
at that,
something.
if I still have that pick at that,
Yeah, who knows? Maybe something wacky happens and you make a deal.
I got a couple things in the hopper.
Maybe you weasel your way into the first. I was trying to weasel my way into the first. I was trying to trade for your first rounder 26 overall before Tony sent it to wherever we'll see it here in a minute, wherever he sent it to.
That thing has gotten around. It started out
Yeah,
with me and went to Duke back in January.
yeah, and now ended up with Tony, ended up with wherever it is now, almost went to me, and we'll see what player that ends up being. Yeah, it'll be an
Yeah.
interesting journey for that particular pick. So the first trade this offseason, Bryce Harper, huge name. The first trade this offseason was a really big one. Bryce Harper in a salary cut for the Mariners for the Rangers, Davey Garcia, Jeter Downs. Jeter Downs had kind of sucked to end the year. He's $7, but he is a prospect. He doesn't have any major league time. So his
been
clock
around
is
for
now
a while
started.
now.
What's that?
That name's been around for a while now.
Yeah. He's been a high-end prospect for a little bit. And I like Sam going for it. Might be a bit strong, but he's immediately making big moves, and since then I think he's put Harper on the block. But see what he can get out of him. But if you look at him value wise, the points that he brings compared to like this $60-$70 Trout, Soto's, Tatis's, Harper was a great value. I like the deal for Sam. I like the deal for Seth. Seth needed to get rid of some money. It was probably a situation where it's like I got to get what I can get for Harper, or I'm going to end up having to cut him, something like that. So I like the deal. I think it was interesting to see such a huge name on the move so early in the offseason. I think it was kind of neat.
Yeah, and between those two teams too, who are kind of from the beginning were at opposite ends.
Yeah, Sam won only 6 games or whatever it was the whole year. Decided he didn't like that.
Yeah, going for the future, and he should be set up pretty well going forward. And
got some nice specs, yeah.
Yeah, and the Mariners were a power team from the beginning, a plan to win right away team. And
interestingly enough, I think it was mostly with pitching. The Mariners were very pitching heavy, and then as we see, ended up with a bat like Bryce Harper to deal. He didn't. Seth did not auction Bryce Harper. I believe he came from the Phillies. Adam that had Bryce Harper.
I don't remember.
Yeah, so many trades. It's hard to remember where exactly they come from. Another big one, the Cubs sent Carlos Correa, real life Astro, to the ABL Astros for a round 2. The Astros round 2 and the Marlins round 3. So Frank had like no picks coming into the draft and was again probably in a position where he was going to end up cutting Correa if he didn't get something out of him. Trades him for a couple picks. Yeah. So if somebody came to you and said, I'll give you a 2 and a 3 for Darvish, are you pretty much snap accepting that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And that's neat that we have those kinds of deals in this league. I mean, that's something you see more often in other sports kind of than baseball, but it just,
especially draft picks,
to have it in our league.
Baseball, we can't. Yeah, I like it. I like that.
Gripe.
What's that? It's not a gripe?
Yeah, like some of the I kind of pointed to the not being realistic with the trades, and maybe that kind of goes towards that here, but it doesn't seem to bother me or anything.
Yeah, and I don't really know. Maybe most dynasty leagues do have that much action. You and I, we don't really have any frame of reference. We can call Garage League. It was the same guys every year, but we didn't keep the same teams. Even when we did keepers, we did 2, maybe 3 keepers.
Right.
So it was in no context a dynasty league. Maybe this is how they are. Maybe there is this much action all the time.
Right.
And it's us that is, we're wrong, or however you want to say it. We're on the opposite side of like, well, this is how these are ran. This, guys do have to do this, especially in a super deep league, like a 30 teamer. And we didn't really talk about this, but I love the fact that guys have to be eligible at like left, right, and center. I really like that. It really adds a layer of strategy when you're looking at these guys to draft, when you're looking at them to pick up, when you're looking at them to trade, to go in and see this guy's played 4 games in left. He only needs 1 more and he becomes left field eligible. So he's going to be left, right, and center. I want to trade for him now, or whatever it might be. Ryan McMahon last year was eligible, and Garrett Hampson. They were both eligible all over the place. And Adam had both of them at one point. Like, the amount of flexibility that those guys give you,
love those guys,
is super useful. Yeah, like Dylan Carlson for me. I think he kept all 3 outfield spots, which is tremendous. And I have a guy that can move around like that. It's going to be hugely useful. Like, yeah, they can gain them in season, but to have the guys that are going to do that going into the year, very useful. Guys like Tony, love those guys in trades. When you can point to that and say, man, look, he's eligible. Look at Marwin Gonzalez. He's eligible at 8 different positions. That adds value, especially as a bench guy, as a cheap guy, to know that you can plug and play.
Those things changed on Fantrax today, by the way.
Yeah, guys lost eligibility.
Yes.
I think Jeff had said a lot of the SPARP guys lost their RP or SP, whatever it might have been, but are no longer SPARPs.
Now, is this the last time that those will change until the start?
I believe so, yeah, because the bats already had, or some of the bats already had. Because I noticed some lost eligibility for some guys on my team. And I don't see who else there would be. But as we know, Fantrax is not great about that kind of stuff. Like you and I have talked about it, Tommy Hansen's still in the draft pool. You can't say for sure. And Fantrax just cost me a fucking football matchup last week. My damn changes didn't save in the AFL. Squib got on and was like, who are the chuds? They didn't set their starters. I said, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I did. I go back and look. Nope, it still has the Falcons guys that are on bye, still has them in my starting lineup. I changed it Saturday night when I saw definitively that Dalvin Cook was going to play. I got Madison out of there, and that was the last thing I did. And it was my own fault, I guess. I did not recheck Sunday morning to make it hasn't happened yet with football this year. It happened once with me with baseball where the changes didn't take and it didn't kill me. But with football, and I thought for sure I'm going to get crushed by Sam anyway. Well, I would have won. I think I would have barely won. So that's very frustrating. Yeah, very frustrating. But we're moving that to sleeper next year. So no big deal. Whatever. But yeah, we know Fantrax not great about that stuff always. What are some other? Reese Hoskins traded from the Cardinals. Yeah, from the Cardinals to the Tigers. Waino involved in that deal coming to St. Louis. Hunter Dozier, eligible at first, third, left, and right, coming to St. Louis. And Josh Harrison, eligible at second, third, and left.
St. Louis set up pretty well going forward.
Yeah, Jeff, I think maybe is like we said, both he and you, the Padres, kind of limped into the postseason, and Jeff suffered from maybe a lack of depth and flexibility, and then he goes out and he grabs multiple guys that are eligible at multiple positions. So maybe seeing a bit of reaction from him on that, but I think Adam says don't give Jeff a big head. Yeah, I'm trying not to, but he definitely went out there and addressed immediately what he saw as potential issues on his team, at least going into next year. And I'm pretty sure he still has these 3 guys. This is on October 9th, so it was 11 days ago. Not a ton has happened in the interim. And then we had the Blue Jay Mark fiasco. You were not on the Discord for that. Unsurprisingly, you're not there for a lot of that nonsense. Yeah, I had to call and tell you, yeah, Mark is no more. He's no longer with us. He's not
Well,
dead, but
you got to expect, hey, with 30 guys, it's not going to be all smooth sailing, you
this is
know.
true.
Um, but geez, I think everything's been handled really well to this point. But you got to expect some bumps in the road.
Yeah, and it's hard for somebody like you that's not on there all the time to go back and like read 500 plus messages and find where Mark was being a jerk to everybody or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, he rivalry is great. I don't want 30 guys that are all palling around and, hey, good job, buddy. No, you good job. You're a great manager. No, you're a great manager. I don't want that. Rivalry is great, but
Right. Of
Mark
course.
was just he was just
Over the line.
I hate the word toxic. I hate because it's such a buzzword these days. But Mark was toxic, man. He would come into the chat and he was just radioactive. He was just emanating negativity and jerkiness pretty much all the time. When it was uncalled for, when it was called for, it just so anyway, we got rid of Mark and we bring in Toronto Gary. And Toronto Gary immediately starts making moves to kind of make, and kind of like Steve did with the Orioles, kind of like Josh did with the Giants and Zach did with the Brewers. He wanted to start making the Jays team his own. And he makes kind of a minor deal. He sends Gregory Soto, Buster Posey to the Tigers for Jared Walsh, who's eligible at first and right, and probably will be a daily bat. He got 530 at bats. Yeah, he hit 30 home runs. So he'll be an everyday guy for the Angels. And I don't know who this is. Dietrich Enns, one of the amazing Rays relievers that you've never heard of, that was plenty good, 2.82 and a 1.03 whip. So not a major deal, but I thought notable for the first deal that the new Jays owner made.
Yeah, cool.
And he's made a couple others, I believe, since then. Sam, the Rangers, making another deal, acquiring, or actually dealing Jesus Sanchez to the Pirates for another young pitcher. Sam has quite a stable of young pitching built up. Jackson Cower of the Royals, he has a great changeup. Hasn't been very good in the bigs thus far, but nobody that anybody's giving up on or anything already. And then here's a big one. This is the Jays. This is when Gary really stepped up and made a trade that made you turn your head. Okay, the new Jays guy's making moves. He trades Aaron Nola to the ABL Phillies for Nick Solak, Zach Plesac, and probably the big name, Jason Dominguez, the big prospect name. We see that he is $19. So when he gets called up, he'll be $19 against the cap of the Jays. He doesn't count right now, obviously. So this is a longer term play for the Jays. But I don't know. What do you think of this? Do you like this move for the Jays? Do you like getting?
Yeah, it could be a win-win.
I liked Solak a lot when he had a lot more eligibility. I think for most of the year last year, he had quite a bit more than second base. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but I think he was eligible more than just second.
He was. And the big league team isn't going to give up on this guy. He'll get another chance.
Yeah,
I know he kind of
absolutely.
lost his job for a while, but
he got sent down. He got sent down to AAA.
Yeah, he's a good bounce back candidate, and I really like it from the Phillies side. Kind of also looking to be a bounce back guy will be Aaron Nola.
Yeah,
who
not cheap.
Not cheap, but I have no reason to doubt that he will bounce back. He's been really good before, and I'm sure he will be again. This could be a real win-win.
This is one of those guys, the rare guys that you can pretty much lock in 180 plus innings.
Yeah, and those guys are getting fewer and fewer.
Yeah, those guys are getting fewer, and as we've seen in this league, they're quite valuable. I doubt Nola gets more than then probably 1 year from
What's the
Adam. But it's
salary now?
kind
Curious.
of like the Barrios situation, like we're gonna see it just like we saw it this year. Come playoff time, those big arms there's going to be a market for them.
What's his
And
salary now, Nola?
42, so he's going to be
42. He's
44.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's right there, but he's no $60 Cole. He's not $60
Right.
DeGrom.
That's a
So
nice price for him, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah,
I'd love to have him for that.
yeah. And then Adam mentioned, yeah, so Blue Jays Gary did then drop Plesac, which, as we've said, is a bit of a head scratcher. I do hope to
Yeah,
be able
that's
to
curious. Yeah,
ask Gary.
I can't think of any reason why you would do that. Why you include him in the deal if you're going to drop him? I don't know.
Probably. I mean, maybe he was included because Adam needed to cut that money to
Oh,
make
yeah, yeah,
the
okay.
Nola deal work. But then, it's like if I'm Gary and I'm saying, well, okay, I'm also going to help you out in making the money work. Give me a pick or something, like
Yeah, what's in it for him?
yeah,
Yeah,
sweeten a little bit for me, sweeten a
yeah.
little bit for me. But hey, I'm sure Gary has been. He was a Frank. He's a buddy of Frank's, Chicago
Yeah, you
Cubs
said
Frank,
that. Yep.
and those two have been playing fantasy. I think they said since 1995.
That's
They've been
cool.
playing together.
Mhm.
So Gary is not new to fantasy. I'm sure he knows what he's doing. I don't
Great.
mean to, sit and rag on him or question him. It's just a move I personally found. It has me scratching my head a little bit, but
Yeah, it's just curiosity. Yeah.
it's nothing. Yeah, it's not worse than dealing a first rounder for Tyler Chatwood. It's
No, it isn't. No, it
it's
isn't.
not,
That's the number one thing I got to get better at is
yeah.
making bonehead trades.
The Cardinals then made another notable deal. They traded a couple picks, a second and a third, and JT Ginn, a prospect who had Tommy John, for Starling Marte
That's a
from the
great
White Sox, who needed
boy,
to
Marte.
shave a little bit of money.
He is playing his best ball right now. He is really something, and yeah, I thought that was a really good move.
He's 33, but he's only going to be $23. And
Right.
the production that he just gave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean he hit 310. He led the majors in steals. Yeah, the power was down a little bit, but that's supplemented by nearly 50 steals and an
Right.
841 OPS. I love this move for Jeff. I
Yes.
understand that the White Sox were way over budget. That he needed to make. He's going to need to make moves if he wants any money to spend. He needed to make moves to get down to where he could even trade. He's at 221 right now, so he looks okay now, but he had to do a lot to get there.
Boy, he
And
might
his
not have
team,
wanted to give him up. That's a tough one to give up.
yeah, that's a tough one because you look at his outfield now, and it's $4 Adam Duvall, $3 Jock Peterson, $3 Nico Badram,
He's probably got a
Cole
plan though.
Calhoun. Yeah, yeah. And he is Nico was, at least for a while, he was eligible multiple. Now he's just so somehow he's only shortstop eligible, but he's actually at the right field spot for the White Sox. So he must have been a guy today or within the last couple of days that lost some eligibility
Yeah, it
because
did
he was
happen.
obviously he was slotted at right field for the
Yeah,
Sox.
it did happen to position players today too, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, he clearly just lost some. He's got Tim LaCastro for $1 at left and center, but he only averaged 1.3 points a game, and he's a wheels guy. He's a pinch runner, defensive replacement type, I think. So
He might be
yeah,
looking
I
to, yeah, maybe he's going to look for a big money outfielder.
I agree though. I love that deal for the Sox. Even if Marte's only center field eligible, I still love the deal, or for the Sox, for the Cardinals. I love the
Yeah,
deal for the Cardinals to
yeah.
get Marte and then to get what he got for Rhys Hoskins. I think Jeff's made some shrewd. I don't want to give him a big head, but I think
Well,
Jeff
me
has made
neither.
some shrewd moves.
But I will say, yeah, he was a tough negotiator with me in the Adam Frazier deal. I was I was trying to get a bet. Well, I needed pitching. My pitchers were dropping like flies, and he had me over a barrel, and he knew it. And yeah, you know, In that situation, you might be tempted to feel sorry for a guy, but you cram that back and you stick it to him. That's
You
what you're
stick it
supposed
to
to
him,
do.
yeah, when you have the
This
opportunity.
is cutthroat. It's win
That's
at all
fantasy.
costs, and
It's fantasy
I give him
baseball. It's not
credit.
fantasy friends or
That's
fantasy. Yeah, yeah.
that's right. So I give him credit. He stuck me with John Gant. Everybody knew his ERA was going to balloon, and it did.
Yeah, you made a couple bad trades. That's if I'm going to say anything about your year one, it was like, Dodger Joe was always giving it to you. Give the Padres more credit than you give them. And maybe I did. Maybe I didn't give you enough credit for the team being as good as it was and stuff, but you did make some poor trades.
I
You made
absolutely
like
did.
probably three pretty. The Frazier deal was not
It
great,
wasn't too
but
bad.
yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe you could have got more. It's like all of these, I feel like you could have got more. And it sounds crappy to say. I feel like you could have got better if you were on the Discord more. Like
maybe.
yeah, and I don't mean that to say like you necessarily have to be on the Discord a lot to get deals done, because that's not true.
Oh, I remember what you said. Yeah, being kind of staying up to date with what guys are looking for and this and that.
Yeah,
It would be
yeah,
helpful. Yeah.
it's almost. I think it helps more to be active or at least check in more often on the Discord than it does to check in on the Fantrax trade block, for example.
Yeah. I use
Yeah,
both.
that helps.
I'm trying to do more Discord looking.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I've seen you on there recently. Even if you're not on there talking all the time, you are on there. There was, I think, some concern for a while that you were some sort of low-level robot or artificial intelligence because of your lack of punctuation and capital letters when
right.
you do say anything. So there was some sort of question as to, is this just a cheap, low-level bot running this team, or is it an actual person? Now we know that it
Yeah,
is a
just
person.
laziness.
Yeah, just don't like to type. I've told people that you still type with the
I am
two
hunting that
fingers.
guy. Yeah, I'm still.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah, that's probably
Tech,
why I don't really do the chat on the thing, because by the time I get it typed in, that was 10 minutes ago. We're on
yeah, by the
talking
time you've
something else
typed your
somehow.
reply to what somebody said, 5 or 6 other people have replied,
Right.
and yours gets buried.
Yeah.
As it's like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Yeah, like,
Right. What's this idiot talking about?
the next pretty notable trade, it involved a ton of first round picks basically being swapped back and forth between the Nats and the Clevelands. I don't really need to break into that too much. And then the Cardinals make another trade that I absolutely love. He got Tanner Houck from the Angels for Framber and Miguel Castro. I guess Framber, is probably the big piece going from the Cardinals to the Angels. And I think Jeff wanted to cut his salary. He's going to be $31 with inflation. He gets Tanner Houck, who kind of looks like, man, he looks really good. 69 innings, 87 strikeouts. He's got kind of the lanky Chris Sale kind of thing going on. The stuff is really good, and more importantly, he's only $5. Nice. So I love that deal for the Cardinals. Again, I feel like that's the third or fourth time we've already said that, but I really like getting Houck out of Framber. And I think, like you said earlier, Jeff's really set himself up going into year 2 to really compete in a tough division. When you have the Cubs, you have the Pirates, the Brewers were no slouch, but the Brewers took over for a guy and then ended up winning the consolation bracket.
Yeah, the improving Brewers, who picked up Arenado, right?
I believe so, yeah. And the Reds, man, the Reds are no slouch either. The Reds,
right.
Lenny knows what he's doing. Yeah, that's a tough.
Yeah. That's another team that seemed to build for the future a little more, but the future will be here soon.
But shit, look at ours, man. We've got you and I and the Dodgers. We all three made the playoffs. Josh came in and took over the Giants. He clearly knows what he's doing. If you've read anything that he's talked about, anything, he obviously knows what he's doing. And Arizona Jake has a team that,
yes,
I was saying it towards the end of the year. If you extend the season a few more weeks, he probably overtakes me for that last playoff spot, that 16th playoff spot, because his team was really coming together towards the end. Our division is no joke either, man. We're right there, I think, with the Central in competitiveness.
That team will be a factor next
yeah,
year.
It's going to be a tough division. I could easily see both of us being worse than we were, and I was already a sub 500 playoff team, but I could easily have seen my team losing a lot of the games that I ended up winning. I could have seen it going the other way. And yeah, the Diamondbacks spent most of the year being really injured. And then when he started getting those guys back, you saw what that team could do.
Yeah.
He was showing up in the top 5 point per game or whatever for the week. He was showing up in the top 5 hitting. Like that Arizona team was getting peppered in spots that you hadn't seen them before. And I haven't looked at his team lately. I don't know if he's made his cuts yet. Jake is not a guy. He's another not very active Discord guy. I don't remember the last time I saw the D-backs in the chat. He does come around, though. He answers private messages, but he hasn't made his cuts yet. Yeah. He's probably got some decisions to make. Let me look real quick. How do I look at the D-backs? Man, yeah, I just don't know what to expect from some of these guys. I don't know what to expect from the Royals. Royals Mark is not around very often. Like, speaking of guys that aren't around a lot, the Royals are one. The D-backs are another. Like, you don't know how much, like Yankee Gary is not on the Discord a ton, but I would bet that he's a guy that's probably still putting a lot of effort and time and research into ABL, Royals Mark, I don't know so much. I asked him back on August 15th if he wanted to move Ed Diaz. Never got a reply. I don't, when I do see his name on the Discord, it says he's playing poker somewhere. So it's like, I've seen his name on the Discord, so I know he's gotten the message. He just never bothered saying anything. I know he kind of threw in the towel when DeGrom went down, but I think if you saw the last pod and maybe caught that Duke said there might be somebody else that we have to replace, I think he may have been talking about Royals Mark. So yeah, I think he's maybe the main guy that, just because, you don't see him on the Discord, he might also not be paying as much attention to ABL, but I know Dwight does. He was on the pod recently talking about his team. I know Diamondbacks Jake does. Looking at his team, he clearly hasn't made his cuts yet. He is currently at $254. That's pre-inflation, of course. He's got some obvious cuts, but yeah, that's our division is going to be, I think, just as tough as the Central. It might not have. I mean, we got the Dodgers, and I wouldn't have been the only guy that said the Dodgers. You could have seen the Dodgers making the World Series out of the NL. He kind of performed. He kind of had one of his worst weeks of the year at the worst possible time. That shit happens in head-to-head,
Yes.
All right. What else? We had a couple more trades, and we can.
I got one on the trade list that didn't. We covered just about everybody I had on the trade stuff. Seattle, Philly, Milwaukee, St. Louis. There was
not a ton. You mentioned Arenado. Arenado goes from the Cardinals to the Brewers for a 4th rounder.
Yeah, good for the Brewers to go for that.
Yeah, go for it. Kind of the Yu Darvish situation that you're looking at. If you can get somebody to give you a 4th rounder,
I would. I should go ahead and put that on the block
if anybody's watching, I know Adam's watching, but if anybody else watches an hour or 20 minutes into it, you were worried we wouldn't get an hour. I told you.
Oh yeah, we got there.
Yeah, we got there.
I did put all offers considered on you.
Interesting offers considered.
Yeah. I'm not sure which team. For some reason I don't have which teams it was, but I think it was Cubs and White Sox who did a 4-for-1 draft pick trade, and I just thought that was curious. Why is there some player that's going to
Yeah,
be
right
in the
here.
draft this year?
It was Cubs and White Sox. It was the White Sox sending a 22 4-5 and a 23 4-5 to move up to the Houston second rounder in 22. Now I see it. And I see it on Harry's side that he wanted to consolidate some later picks into an earlier one. And I can see it from Ray's side. He wanted to, maybe he feels he'll get more value out of being able to pick up 4 guys in the future than he will 1. Yeah, I see it from both sides. I'm kind of a guy that also wouldn't mind consolidating a couple of my picks in this next draft to move up. I tried to do it with Tony and get your first rounder. I was going to give him, multiple 3s and a prospect to move up to 1.26, which is basically, it's an early 2. It's a late 1. It's an early 2. There's some guys that you could talk to. I know Cleveland Mark does not think this draft is overly deep, that this first-year player draft is super deep. You'll find other guys that disagree and would love to have 2 picks in the first round, no matter where they're at.
That's what I was getting. I was wondering if, what it is about this upcoming draft that might make a guy.
Maybe Harry, obviously his salary was super high. He sent some picks to acquire some players, so he's probably happy to move into the second round. I don't have a second rounder either. I'd be happy to get one. I have a 1 and then 3 3s, I think.
And the guy that gave them all up, he could have a plan to get more. We don't know.
Yeah, so now Ray's got a 4 and a 5, an extra 4 and a 5 this year, and a 4 and a 5 next year now. So yeah, maybe he plans to consolidate those with something. Maybe he's going to add a prospect and give those to jump early into the second or something. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
It could be anything. Yeah,
it's just interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. I made a couple of minor deals. I traded Longo for Connor Scott, prospect, former. I think he was a 2019 late first round pick of the Marlins. Longo, I probably was not going to keep. He was going to be $5. I'm not so. He missed most of the year for me. When I needed him, he wasn't there. He's 35 or whatever. I don't think I wanted to spend $5 on him. I was looking at him and Kevin Newman combined. They were going to cost me $10. And Newman is at least second and short eligible. He sucks, but he's eligible at 2 spots.
I can't believe the way he forgot how to hit this year.
Man. He got at bats. He got 500 plus,
yeah.
But he might have played himself out of getting 500 plus again with how bad he ended up being. But he's eligible at 2 spots. I wasn't going to keep them both. I got a former first-round pick out of Longo. It's a dart throw, but it's somebody. And it was a salad. I was going to drop him for nothing. So it was kind of get something or get nothing. Mm-hmm. I also traded Elieser, who I do quite like, to the White Sox. I traded Elieser. And then 2 of those third rounders that I had, Cleveland's third round, Seattle's third round in 2022. I sent those to the White Sox for Marco Gonzalez.
Yeah, see, he got him back.
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious what you think. Marco is 11 now, so he's going to be 13 the first year that I have him. He threw 143 innings, 1.17 WHIP, ERA little under 4. What do you think about Elieser? Are you an Elieser guy at all?
I know the name. I am not real familiar with the guy.
Not terribly surprising. He only threw about 50 innings. He was always hurt. He was $6, so he's going to be $8. So I'm losing, $5 or so in the deal. But the Marlin rotation is super stacked heading into next year. That's, if Sixto's healthy, that's even another guy that, they have a ton of pitchers. I don't know that there was going to be a spot for Elieser. He might have been a swing man.
You don't really know what you have with him yet. And I like Marco. I mean, I think that's a nice price for.
I think that was a quiet. He's usually better for more than 140 innings. This was kind of I think he missed some time this year.
Mm-hmm.
The strikeouts were down, but he's not a strikeout guy. But he is an innings guy, and he's going to be 29 or 30. He should anchor and be an innings eater in the Mariner rotation. And for $13, I don't know what I mean. Brad Keller was so bad
Bad
this
Brad
last
Keller.
year. Yeah, he was bad, Keller. And I think he's got to be better. There's almost nowhere to go but up for him. But I felt like I definitely needed a second arm that I could lean on a little bit. And if that's Marco, it wasn't going to be Eliser. You know, Marco gives me more stability than Eliser. I was willing to give the 2 3s for that. What else? So Avisale, the well-traveled Avisale, Pittsburgh did send him and a third rounder to the Mariners for Drew Rasmussen, Sparp eligible, and Cleveland second base prospect Aaron Bracco. I kind of like the deal. I like it for Pittsburgh. I like Drew Rasmussen. You kind of don't know what you're going to get out of him being a Ray, but the numbers were great. 76 innings of 2.84 and a 1.07, 1.08 whip.
Yeah, that's a good deal both ways.
Yeah, even if he is just a spark guy, he's probably pretty cheap, right? He's $1. Avisale, how much was Avisale?
$5. And I'll tell you, when I traded him back in January, it wasn't really a sure thing that he was looking like maybe the odd man out in the Milwaukee outfield.
You couldn't have predicted him OPS in 820 and hitting 30 homers. And
No, of course not. But I did like it when I had him. I thought it was a good price to have that guy, but it was a positional crunch for me.
Well, you were right too. Had you kept it, was a spectacular price for whoever ended up getting him. He was a tremendous value.
Yeah.
So you weren't off on that. It just happened to be mostly for somebody else.
Right.
Because you didn't get a ton back in that deal, right? What did you get back in that deal? Do you recall?
Dickerson.
Alex Dickerson. Yeah.
Yeah. Dickerson
also ended up trading
for Avisale and Newman, actually, who we were just talking about. Yeah.
So the Cubs, I thought this was I feel like the Cubs, agree or disagree, the Cubs could have got more for these three guys, Flexen, Kelly, Melanson. I feel like if he chopped those up and moved them individually, he maybe could have got more than just the Mariners first, which is a pretty late first for 2022.
Yeah, maybe. Those are pretty good guys. Yeah, I thought Seattle did pretty well there to get some affordable pitching.
I like Merrill Kelly. I kind of put in that Marco Gonzalez, and he's quite a bit cheaper. He's going to be $6.
Yeah,
he threw 160 innings. Yeah. And the Diamondbacks are going to, he's not going anywhere. The Diamondbacks need a guy like that in the rotation. They have young up and comers, but they're going to need an innings eater type. And those guys have value. And Chris Flexen was quietly incredible. 180 innings.
Yeah.
180 innings, 3.61, 1.25. You can say it was smoke and mirrors. I was saying it for most of the year, and he did it for 180 innings. And again, didn't strike anybody out. Kind of the Marco Gonzalez type of pitcher on Seattle. Maybe it's ballpark. Maybe they know something there in Seattle. But boy, you look at those numbers, and I think he was a little more than you'd expect. Yeah, he was $11 because he was a fab guy, so he's going to be $13. But still, go back and look at those numbers. I'm going to pay $13 for Marco Gonzalez numbers. I'd absolutely pay $13 for these.
Yeah.
And I'd be plenty happy with it. I feel like if Frank wanted to do a little more pitching, a little more selling to different teams, but maybe he felt like, okay, I want to move into the first, and I got a guy here that's willing to give it to me. I'll just go ahead and do it. Melanson was hugely valuable as the saves guy. He's going to only be $5. Yeah, see, these prices were so good on these guys. I feel like Frank might have misstepped a little bit. No offense, Frank, but I feel like you could have got more for the value that these guys were bringing for the price, especially. Not necessarily the name, but the price. I neglected relievers. I told you going into the auction, I'm not going to spend a lot of money on relievers. I think that was a very poor decision on my part.
Useful. I traded one to Frank myself. That was in the Charlie Morton deal. He got Liam Hendricks. It worked out for both of
Oh,
us.
yeah.
Be good.
Jays made another huge deal, dealing one of those top pitchers. So he came onto the team. He dealt Nola, then he deals Lucas Giolito for prospects, basically for a round 2 pick next year. Prospects. This was probably one of those things where Gary looked at that price tag on Giolito, which I think was 43. So he's going to be a 44. He was 42. He's going to be a $44 pitcher next year. Jays were looking at not keeping him, decided to get what they could get out of him. Yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Pirates trade Luis Castillo for Josh Young.
Yeah,
the Mets make a big deal that you kind of, he gets rid of Kyle Lewis, going to get rid of McNeil, a couple of high-dollar guys, replace them with a high-dollar pitcher that clearly Dwight likes. So I like the Mets going for it. They were nipping at my heels for most of the second half. And if you watch the Dwight pod, he knows where he kind of fell short. And it seems like there's probably more moves to come from him in the future.
Didn't the Braves improve here lately?
Yeah, Braves made a couple big trades. We just went through one of them. Yeah, they're the one that got Giolito.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they
that's the one I was thinking.
Made a big splash, kind of that you don't expect. Two guys, Dwight and so the Mets and the Braves, two teams that did not compete really in the East. The Mets were not competing for the East; he was competing for the wild card spot. But both of those guys, first thing in the offseason, both acquire $40+ pitchers.
Yeah, that's a boost for that division. Yeah,
did they both take a look and say, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be able to get a guy like this in the auction. I'm going to have to do it through other means. And both pulled the trigger on a couple of high-end starters at roughly, I think, the same price. Yeah, they're both going to be $44. So a couple of guys that we maybe a few weeks ago foresaw going back into the auction pool and maybe being able to bid on. We kind of thought Giolito, those $40 pitchers were going to go back into the auction. Doesn't look like it.
I expect a bounce back from Castillo. He just got off to such a rough start.
He was fine for a lot of the year, but that first handful of starts, he was miserable.
Right.
And then the last couple of trades, there was one today, there was one yesterday. The German Marquez deal, the Dodgers trade German Marquez at a pretty good price. What was he, $28? He was 26. He will be 28. He threw 180 innings, almost a K per inning, a 1.27 whip, pitching half his game in Coors. We all know he's a stud, especially outside of Coors. And he got quite a haul from the Phillies. First base, call him a prospect. Justice Sheffield, somewhat expensive, $16, but a sparp. He was not very good. He still threw 80 innings, but a 6.83 and then a 1.84.
The future's bright for this guy, though.
He at one time was a high level prospect, and the strikeout numbers are still pretty okay, but he got hit pretty good. It'd be interesting to see what happens with him exactly. A couple of picks, one for next year, one for this year, both round 3s, and then another, probably the most interesting guy here, Mike Zunino, who OPS 860 with a 216 batting average.
Yeah.
Hit 33 dongs and only 333 at bats. Pretty incredible, really.
Yeah, it really is.
Had a hell of a year at catcher. He only cost $2, so he'll be a $4 catcher going into next year. Can he repeat what he did? He averaged 3.25 points per game. So
I'd probably bet against it, but you never know.
If it was you, would you, going into next year, would you rather have Will Smith at $29 or Mike Zunino at $4?
Boy, I don't know. Probably that is tough. I'd probably boy, if you needed the cost savings, you could gamble a little bit of a gamble.
Money, $23, $24 to play around with in the auction. That could fill a lot of spots.
It sure could. You could probably get away with it with going
Now,
with
it kind of hinges on, do you think Mike Zunino is going to average 3.25 points per game? The Rays seem to know what they're doing. I haven't looked at his splits or anything, but he's a right-handed bat. Does he crush lefties?
But even a little less than that for that kind of price would probably be the way to go.
Yeah. Look at my catching combination. It was god awful, and I spent roughly the same money for not near the production. I'm going to look at his splits real quick. I'm just going to look at this last year. I'm not going to look at his career.
He's always had big time power, but the
average. I tell you
what,
the homers
been below the 216 or whatever. But I mean,
he hit 17 homers. He hit 17 homers against righties. He hit 16 against lefties. But the batting average, he hit $151 against righties, 342 against lefties.
Wow.
He OPS'd 1287 against lefties. So he is one of the best lefty mashers in all of baseball. And he was abysmal against righties. OBP of 240, OPS 637. He hit the homers. Yeah, that is a hell of a split. That's like Wilmer Flores, I think, crushes lefties pretty much exclusively. It's like one of those, like the power's there. And really just because he had almost double the at-bats against righties. But, yeah, he is an absolute monster against left-handed pitching. 240 OPS plus. Yeah, just ridiculous.
Wilmer definitely checked his swing on that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Bad call. That was
more often than not, I say, of course that guy went. Look at that; it's obvious. Of course, they always go. He did not go.
No, he didn't.
On that swing. What a terrible way to end a game. Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad.
Any other? The trade that got made today. The Cardinals made yet another deal. He trades Cesar Hernandez, who actually had a quietly great fantasy year, scored 400 points.
Yeah, the power from Caesar, the unforeseen power. Hey, I need to. When we get done here, I got to check Fantrax. I've got an offer into Jeff. Maybe he's been busy. Maybe
he has.
Yeah.
He trades Caesar for Craig Stammen, round 3, and this guy Ryan Nelson, who Jeff has said he has a sudden infatuation with. He won some kind of minor league pitcher of the year award. He put up great numbers. The strikeout numbers look incredible. He's an Arizona farmhand, I believe. So Jeff said himself, I might regret trading 400 points for $4, but that's assuming Caesar has a year again like he did this year. You probably don't expect that power. He may or may not have a starting job going into next year, so I like the deal for Jeff, and I like the deal, I guess, for the Tigers. He's was grossly over salary. He was like, Costanza's wallet over salary after the year end. So he really needs to look at cost effective value. So that's the play he's making there. All right. Well, I mean, hour and 40 minutes. You got anything left that we didn't touch on?
No, I think we got it all. No, I don't have anything.
All right. So we'll probably maybe do another one as it gets closer to auction time or whatever. But that's cool. The Padres, man. Yeah, that's the Padres. That's what we can look forward to. We don't 100% know. Thank you, Adam. He says, great stuff, gentlemen. Tony will be happy. He's the guy that likes to put the name to the face or whatever it is. He feels a more solid connection with these guys after he sees your face. So he'll be happy about that. He's stuck in a hotel in Indiana still. So he'll have something to do. Yeah. All right. So that'll do it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for who does watch. Thanks for giving us. It's about 9 o'clock for you. It's about bedtime with those
Yeah.
old man glasses. Yeah. All right.